Hi folks, welcome back. Hope everybody's keeping well. So the Patreon poll is spoken, and today we have a brand spanking new band on the channel. Genuine first time listening. I have never heard a single note from these guys, but I'm led to believe that there's something special. I've seen comments on about their singer and stuff like that there, so high hopes. This is Lorna Shore. So a quick disclaimer for any of you guys that are new to the channel. For a new band, I intentionally do not do any prior research listening. That's so I can give you as much of a completely unbiased opinion as I can, squeeze the most out of a reaction here. So other than seeing the logo, hearing people talk about it in the YouTube comments and stuff like that there, that's all I know about the band. I'm expecting something heavy, but don't know where they're from, don't know the names of the people. Yeah, I'm doing that on purpose, you guys. I will learn that as I go on. Maybe for the second, if I do a second reaction or analysis, I can have a look then. But I want to give this first time. You only get one go at listening to somebody for the first time, and I think it's better if you don't know anything about it or as little as possible. So, without any further ado, let's get going. Ow. Wow. That was superb. It's easy to say face melting when something's not really face melting. That's kind of face melting. That's face melting. Let's be honest. Um, so we'll go back and whew, strap myself in to take this in again because this is pretty intense. There were several things that really jumped out to me as being like really interesting about this band that I'm not really hearing in other bands. So the first thing is really the production. So the constant sort of the weightiness behind those massive snare beats. Not every single snare hit, but some of them, it's I guess compression or whatever way it's been mixed is that the accents are very extreme, and those sort of jolts, those sort of like audio versions of like being, I don't know, electrocuted or something like that. It's constant throughout the song. Um, I can't really think of any other bands off the top of my head that have such an extreme level as a base level, and then they manage to have this sort of intense. Like I guess if you were, I would imagine I was looking at this on some sort of peak meter, that those are right up there, and I don't even know if they're hitting into the red or whatever. Like, but it feels so intense. Possibly turn my volume up too much at the beginning. I reached for the volume. I was like, this is going to be intense. Yes, go up. Whew. I think I might have set it slightly too high. My brain's bouncing about inside my head, but it's doing that anyway. So what's new? I'll point those out again as we go through. The vocals, of course, they take on the entire spectrum of death metal, black metal, and everything in between. So incredibly versatile vocalist, incredibly versatile. Made me think of several different bands, as even musically. It's getting elements of, like I say, everything between black and death, really. The wide scope, but more of more leaning towards black metal. It felt to me, especially in the early stuff there at the early part of the song. Within the first 2 seconds or 3 seconds, the first thing I thought of was like Midian era Cradle of Filth. Put me straight to there, Danny Filth, and even now it's been a very long time since I've listened to that record, but that was sort of the production vibes I got at the start. Was like, I kind of expected whenever everything came in and was intense that this sort of ethereal, atmospheric stuff that's layered and the textural stuff in the background, I thought that would sort of pull out and would get a more direct, typical sort of production. But no, they kept that more or less the whole way through, I think, apart from those moments where they sort of played with the dynamics, pulling out back in again. But that sort of swarm, like an audible sort of swarm in the background, this is intended to hurt us. They want us to, it's like one of those extreme French horror films, like Martyrs or whatever. They want us to be like, no, just keep ramping it up, ramping it up. Very few moments where I'd be like, okay, they're taking their foot off the gas here, and it was just intense right from the off. Intense. The other thing I got with the vocals, especially when he got into like the real sort of more pig grunts and all the rest of it, made me think of a band. I wonder how many of you guys remember Devarment. Do you remember that? What was it? The album? I remember having it on mini disc. That's how long I've been around. And I remember, we recorded it off maybe Napster. Might have been Napster back in those days. So Lars Ulrich might not have had a kind word to say about us, but I remember the cover of that. I'll have to find it and I'll stick it in here in case you haven't seen it. The album was called Molesting the Decapitated. Fantastic title. But the singer from that band, right down into those real, like way lower than like Chris Barnes and George Fisher and stuff, right down into those depths. So getting a bit of Cradle of Filth to Devarment, bit of Emperor in there as well with the sort of blast beats and the sort of the definitely getting like a Nordic wind, Anyway, let's go back. We'll break some of it down. When I say that, I hope I don't break down in the process. This is intense stuff. Right, let's do it. Okay, so I love this introduction. It's sending me back to sort of early Opeth. Probably Morning Rise. It doesn't have the same production. This sounds bigger, but there's something about the sparseness of that acoustic guitar. And I love this sort of ambience in behind there. So I think we're in the key of, well, you could either call it G sharp minor or A flat minor. And I think then you get that dissonance, which you could call that, I think it's this chord, I'll have to check it again, but I think it's basically an E flat major. I'm going to go from, let's work in A flat minor, I guess. It's a risky strategy, but it avoids the F double sharp, which is the raised 7th note if you're in the G sharp harmonic minor scale. Definitely had a harmonic vibe, which is straight music to my ears because I love that. Talked about that in several videos. You know, you get that, it's a classical thing. It's used a lot in sort of classical harmony back in the Baroque days, and even classical music. You get that raised 7th a lot. It's that dissonant note it gives us a lot of angst and pain. I'm always drawn to that. Talked about it recently, actually. I can't remember what video it was, but so if we were in G sharp minor, you wouldn't call that a G natural, really. You'd call that an F double sharp. So if we work in A flat minor, I guess we'd call that be a G natural. Maybe that's an easier way to do it. So I think it's an E flat major chord in a first inversion. So I'll take a moment to explain that. So if you've got your tonic, your first, third, and fifth notes of the scale, that would be your root note E flat. So if you listen to the difference going from the A flat minor to the E flat major, if I just play root notes, you would get this. And that's fine. But you can hear the bass note is not the E flat, it's the second note of the chord. Again, that adds more tension, you know, which is perfect with this kind of music, you know, which is tense. So if you listen to the comparison there, you're really playing about with that minor second interval. Does he go to... Is there a sharp 5 anywhere? Maybe I'm imagining that. Anyway, let's try that again and push on this time. Yeah, it's straightforward E flat major chord. It's something like this, isn't it? A little bit higher in the second riff. On the fifth. And then the minor, yeah, that's so interesting. That's very unusual harmony there, to put that minor chord in at the end, because you'd normally want to go from the 5 to the 1, which would give you a perfect cadence, and in a minor key, the fifth chord would be a major. So hanging, and then into that, but they actually changed it on the second one to the minor chord. So we got like a perfect cadence, but it's minor to minor. Right, that's enough for the introduction, I'm sure. Well, a lot of you are already gone at this point, but you fellow people that love to go into the nitty gritty, you may still be here. We got the right antennas. Let's go on. It's a space. there's that snare I told you. Like, how loud was that snare compared to everything? Now, there's definitely cinematic stuff going in there. It's like orchestral swells, or I don't know. I actually don't know what is being used there to achieve that. Like, but it's almost that. It's like I say, it's like wind hitting you in the face or something like that. It's very visceral. Even though we've already got the sort of heaviness that you would normally associate with boom, 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 the drum fills and stuff like that there, but that is unusual. The vocals at this point, to me, my ears are straight up Danny Filth, which is no bad thing. I've met the man. I've seen Cradle of Filth several times. Signed my shirt, long time ago. But anyway, yeah, those are up there. But tell me this: does he run through any sort of effects in the vocals? I know some people can be sort of mad fanboys, fangirls of bands, and if you say something like that, they get like straight on the defensive. To my ears, the vocals sound incredibly distorted, like digitally distorted. So I don't know whether on this album they've layered the vocals. Sounds to me like the vocals are layered multiple times throughout the song, but it'd be interesting to know whether he's relying on any sort of treatment in there to make it even more like the same as if you're watching a movie. If you're watching a movie and there's like a demonic voice, chances are they've manipulated it some way to enhance the sort of otherworldliness or demonic aspect to it or whatever. Yeah, just kind of curious if any of you guys know, the particular production in this song, whatever like that. But that's what my ears are hearing. Of course, there's reverb and stuff on there, but those sweeps, are so unnatural sounding like, but maybe he is natural. I don't know. It's incredible. Building up the energy slowly. Okay. So same riff as the beginning. Lots of different energy in the drums though. Here are blast beats. That's that thing I'm talking about before. I still can't really get over that extreme accenting going on. It's just, I can't think of anywhere else I've heard it before. It's very effective. It was used really well there, particularly to change the section where we got into the palm mutes on the guitar. There was definitely something pulled out in the mix at that point, and things became a little bit more direct. I think whatever's sort of swirling around there in the background seemed to relent a little bit as we moved into that sort of heavier section. Gentier maybe. Lots of triplets being used. Interestingly enough, it might have changed later on in the song. There was somewhere closer to the guitar solo, I think it was, where I thought, I wonder has the time signature changed here? But for the most part, this is all in 4/4. So all syncopated, all in between the beat. That really helps this whole thing groove. So that's an interesting point. I think whenever it comes to like extreme death metal and black metal in particular, where there's a lot of really, really fast playing, if the band's like really got the feel right and they've sort of been clever in terms of the rhythms and percussion and whatever way the guitars are playing, whatever way the vocals are delivered, the way they all interact with one another, you can produce something that's incredibly groovy, despite it being like maybe to an untrained listener it might sound like static noise, but obviously, if you've been listening to that kind of stuff for a long time, you can hear all the sort of constituent parts, I feel like, but it's incredibly clever in terms of how extreme everything is, that it doesn't get in each other's way. You can hear those parts where the band's sort of dropping out, or well, I guess technically the band's dropping out, but I mean, it's probably done within the mix and stuff like that there to heighten those. So like whenever they drop out, that they're pulling the volume down and bringing the vocals up, so we're getting that really contrasting thing there. Still in 4 time, but lots of lots of triplets being used everywhere, and we're into the varmint vocals that I would call now, real piggy ones, like, you know, great. Double kick flat out. Definitely gives me old Cradle of Filth vibes. Do you hear the way the sub bass is coming into effect there? Boom! Boom! You know? Right? Multiple vocals are being panned at different levels. You can hear, definitely with headphones on anyway, you can hear that it's multiple takes at once. I think that's a great idea. I'm sure it's kind of common with you know, death metal, black metal vocalists to do that, although it's not something that normally comes to my ears so obviously whenever I listen to those kind of records, especially the older ones anyway. You know, when it comes to like melodic vocals, it's such a common thing to have backing vocals or multiple takes or whatever. I know Tatiana from Ginger does it, you know, in some of the older middle era Ginger stuff anyway that I've listened to. You can hear the multiple layered screams, you know, you just getting them all at different sort of frequencies there, and then the contribution of those produces such a powerful demonic, for lack of a better word, demonic kind of sound. So I think that's a great idea to just layer up all those different distorted vocals at different frequencies, you know, because it's incredibly overwhelming and intimidating. It's scary as fuck. You can hear that there's like a sort of counter synth line in there, I think it is. It could be orchestral, but it's being sort of buried in a way that's very, very difficult to pick out any definition. It makes me think it's probably some sort of plug-in or multiple plugins acting there, but I quite like that it's contributing to the symphonic, cinematic side of this. That's another reason I think that it's making me think of old Cradle of Filth, even maybe like DIAMIR or something like that, where maybe they're a wee bit more overt in their sort of orchestrations and things like that. But I'm guessing the more I listen to this band, that's probably a trait that they have, you know, using the sort of cinematic textures in their music and orchestral things like that there, you know, just bigger, wider palette. Widest palette as possible, that's what you want. Great. Screams are insane. full on. That, you know, it's proper like horror movie influence going on in here. Like I'm telling you, the way they use it's like Foley stuff. It's like atmospheric trickery. I love that that's mixed in with this metal, you know, because it just adds. It's part. I mean, being a big horror fan, you can see my Lucio Fulci maybe artwork up there, and Christian Bale. I mean, that's like a comedy, like, but it's a great film. But yeah, I love horror and mixing those sort of intense textures that you would get, you know, in cinematic stuff, like, you know, somebody's escaping a house or somebody's chasing them or something, and then they go outside and, you know, it's thunder and lightning and you hear the, you know, everything's turned up, you know, all that kind of stuff to add to that intensity. And the space. See, if I wasn't looking, I would think that's Danny Filth. I'm telling you. And that's not a bad thing, but Danny Filth's voice has been so unique to me. I've never heard anybody else, even when they're up in that sort of register, I've never heard anybody else and I've been like, you sound like Danny Filth. I don't think I've ever said that in my life. And I listened to a hell of a lot of metal. So it's the first time I think I've ever compared somebody's vocals to Danny Filth. There's something about just the way he's delivering this. I definitely get it. And that's, like I say, that's a positive thing. I like that. And it's obviously, it's only a small part of what this guy can do. But Danny's also a very versatile metal vocalist as well, you know, because he can go down into the lows. I can't do it, for fuck's sake. Embarrass yourself, why not? Danny Filth, Pure. Groovy. It's also amazing to me how the production is so, I mean, it's not uncommon to get drums quite forward in the mix in sort of heavy music. The vocals are way up there, you know. Normally I would kind of expect the guitars, the drums and the guitars, and then the sort of screams, any of the screamo sort of stuff, I would expect it to be down a little bit. So the guitars are very low. You can hear it's obviously trem-picked and stuff like that, so it's maybe harder to hear the definition in them anyway. There were riffs later on towards the end. It kind of put me in mind of like that sort of Swedish death metal stuff from like At the Gates, but only towards the end. This stuff is sort of like more like a drone, you know, like Ijan or something from Emperor. But yeah, the mix, the guitar is quite low compared to the vocals, which is surprising to me. Vocals and double kick seem to be the main thing. Or kick drum. There's that riff in there I was talking about. Bookends. Guess this isn't the end though, but that's the introduction riff in it. Okay, here we go. Harmonies. can't get used to that. Anyway, lots of cool like sweep picking and very very fast alternate picking and stuff in there. It suits the song perfectly. I did like how he bookended the solo a little bit with sort of like a more melodic phrasing, you know, like more memorable in terms of a melody, then into the sort of more shredding kind of stuff, and then he bookended it with that again, you know. So yeah, tasteful solo whilst also being face melting. More melodic. Ow! I know it's coming, like, it still hurts. Should have turned my headphones. Should have turned my headphones down a bit. Ah! Fuck me, that's so loud in my head, like, but I'm in it. I'm not going to change it now. I like the way the sort of chin 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 chin. You heard the echo effect of the pan muted guitar, like drastically lower and pushed away over to the left there. It's amazing. This must be some of the heaviest stuff I've ever heard, and that's saying something. You know, that's saying something, like, but that was fucking ridiculously heavy. Whew. Oh my goodness, my poor ears. Serves me right for turn Never Hang Up. But anyway, it's good. Got the full effect. You know, that's what they want. My car alarm's going off, so I'll have to wrap this up. If you enjoyed this, folks, please do like and subscribe. Consider supporting me on Patreon. Check out some original music. I've got more sort of proggy metal, instrumental kind of stuff in there, but a bit of a mixture of stuff, even some old chiptune kind of music on there. You can support the channel that way. And thank you very much for watching this far. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you around.